you want to introduce the folks that you're with and
yeah, this is Brendan, our producer, Brendan Brady, and Connor Fisher, our cinematographer. We just want to thank the festival for having us and Shannon for programming us. We appreciate it, and this is an awesome crowd, and there's so many of you. I think this might be like our biggest screening, so I'm looking forward to it. So just a bit about what you're going to see. I guess it's kind of like if like Home Alone meets Goodfellas, kind of, is what I kind of decided I wanted to do. We made it at the Canadian Film Centre a couple years ago in the Director's Lab program. And it was 5 nights, and we shot it in March, which was a couple years ago, that it was like the coldest March that ever existed. And it was like negative, he's still drinking because it was that cold. It was like -30 and -40, and we shot how many night exteriors?
4 night exteriors. So.
Yeah, and I got hypothermia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was a wild blast. We had a good time.
thank God you're still with us.
Yeah, no, it's great. He didn't talk to me for months. No, it's fine. But I hope you guys enjoy it. It's hard because you're seeing it. But I'll be getting drinks afterwards. So if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask me.
Also, if you like the short, tweet about it. Write a letterbox review about it. The short filmmakers sometimes have to fight to get press at film festivals, so help them out by talking about the short if you liked it. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, Peter.
All right. So this is an unusual intro for me because this film was selected by the Toronto After Dark programming team, but I sat out of the decision making. I haven't seen this film. And I promised the director that I wouldn't see this film until today, because I've known this director for as long as I've worked for the Toronto After Dark Film Festival. He's a very, very close friend. You might know him as the founder of the Laser Blast Film Society, the co-host of the Important Cinema Club. He knows way more movies than you do. His name, Justin Decloux. And he's here with producers, Emily Milling and Nate Wilson.
I think I gave you a headbutt there.
Justin, I'm so excited. I feel like we became friends around the first time at the Toronto After Dark Film Festival.
Probably. I knew him a long time as that dude in the hat.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. But yeah, and I'm really, really happy to be playing After Dark because when I first moved to Toronto, it was one of the first festivals that I came to, and I was like, this is amazing, they're playing all these great films! And to finally have one of my films here is insane. What you're about to see is a horror film, and it's a horror film because those are the types of movies that inspired me to want to make movies, and what the movie's about is how freaking hard it is to make movies. I just want to give a little bit of a introduction in the sense that this is a smaller film than usually plays at After Dark. It's a little bit slow because I was mostly inspired by direct-to-video Japanese horror films like Kiyoshi Kurosawa and Takashi Miike. But it's also a film that, like, everybody here, their hearts are like splattered all over it. And I'd just like to thank the people that are in it and that help make it, like Credence Wright and Haley Walker, who star in the film and work like 3 weeks of nights. And I'd also like to thank April Lemansky, who's an actor in it as well. And I would specifically like to thank Emily Milling here, who I co-wrote and directed the film, and she produced it, she scheduled it, she did the catering, she did the special makeup effects, she did the normal makeup effects, she did the ADR, she did the sound effects, she composed the movie, and she made sure that I didn't make any massive mistakes. So, this movie is like 70% hers.
Thank you, Justin. Well, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Justin, if it wasn't for Nate as well. And Nate also poured his heart and soul into this film. We're so happy to be here tonight, and thank you all so much for coming and supporting the film, and we'd like to thank our Indiegogo supporters as well, of course. All of you, and there's so many other people that we would love to thank, but I will pass it to Nate to get us rolling.
Oh yeah, so this is the listen. You guys have 5 minutes for a story. This is the film festival this is the first film festival I ever went to.
The first film festival you got kicked out of.
I get kicked out of the film festival all the time. I've also known Peter and Justin for as long as they've known each other. Only I was like 12 years old, which is pretty creepy.
Yeah.
Yes, but this film festival means a whole lot to me. I used to sneak into this film festival all along. This is the first film festival that I wrote a short film play in, and to have the first feature film that I ever poured my heart and soul into is amazing. Just as for all of us, it's like a really important festival for all of us, and to be here is amazing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I wanted to ask, it's a question that's often asked at Q&A, just sort of where the inspiration came from. But one of the things that struck me about the film is that the conceit of the film really allows you as a filmmaker and the team to kind of do every permutation of the horror film, from like American found footage to J-horror to even Japanese experimental horror. Like there's a lot of Tsukamoto stuff in that movie as well. So can you just talk about what inspired that idea and what motivated you to tell this story?
So, like I said in my intro, I love horror films, and the Japanese horror film, or like the kind of style that they have, is probably the last thing anybody would think that I would make. If you saw any of like my last feature film, Teddy Bomb, it's literally just like blood and heads exploding and arms being ripped off. So I thought it was a challenge to do that kind of stuff, like a little bit slower. But as you saw in the movie, I obviously get bored of that like 40 minutes in. And I'm like, I was really inspired by like Sion Sono and Takashi Miike in the sense that they could just throw everything at the audience. So like 40 minutes in, sure, there could be like a martial arts fight, why not? That'll be fun. I actually wrote like the first draft, and Nate helped me on rewriting it. What was your inspirations, Nate?
I have the same thing of like, at one point the movie sort of breaks, like we've done all these because it starts off as like almost more segments, right? Where it's like, this is this kind of horror movie, this is this kind of horror scene. And then it was like, okay, how do we tie that together and make that into an actual like tangible mythology?
Yeah.
And how do we like make that cohesive without necessarily like spoon feeding, right?
I think this is gonna sound really, really pretentious, but I really wanted to make a Lovecraft film, and I can't afford to make monsters. So I'm like, what do I think when I think of Lovecraft? I think of insanity and the idea of facing something that is so beyond human comprehension that would drive you completely insane. And I just rooted that in trying to be creative and how fucking hard it is.
All right, now I have a question for Emily. I love the score of this film. This is, again, my first time seeing it. The score is so good. Can you speak to your inspirations and your process in putting this score together?
Yes, so many inspirations. A huge inspiration was actually Canadian composer Mark Corbin. He did The Witch. I don't know if you've seen it. He created his own like instrument. He had it custom made, and so to supplement that for myself, I used some pencils and I banged them against my desk and put a lot of random effects on it. So that's the sort of like clack you hear. Other inspirations were Cliff Martinez. There's a band called Tycho I really like. Obviously, Stranger Things had come out, so I was trying to do like that, but not totally that.
The hardest thing that Emily had was that when she started writing the music, I said, I don't want it to sound like Stranger Things, and I don't want it to sound like John Carpenter, or The Guest, or It Follows. So she was.
I had some tough shoes to fill, and Justin would come in every once in a while and say, well, I don't like this. And I'm like, well, I'm only halfway through this, so maybe let me finish it. So, but it was a lot of fun to write, and I would listen to it every day in my car just to make sure that I had it all kind of like thematically similar. But it was, at the end of the day, I'm pretty proud of it. I'm really happy with it.
Great. Now, yeah, give it up for the soundtrack. Fantastic. I love hearing from Credence and Haley about these fight scenes and maybe working with Alex and choreographing these fight sequences. You guys did all your own stunts, I assume?
Yeah, did all our own stunts. I mean, working with Alex and with his crew make me look good. Because you see, like, I will punch and they will do a flip.
And it looks like you're impressive.
Yeah, it makes me look a lot better. Oh, there we go. That's all it takes. But those were the most fun scenes to shoot, mostly because it's so much fun to look really cool.
How long did the shoot where you guys are having your They Live style, put on the glasses kind of fight with the
between
book?
you and Haley?
Yeah.
I feel like that didn't actually take that long.
It was one night.
It was one night,
Real
and
punches.
yeah, all real punches. And yeah, that was a really fun fight scene because it's the only time that we fight each other, and it's also the only time that we're both fighting, really. Because for a lot of it, it's just me or just Haley.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun doing that one fight scene. It was just like it's so fun to like be so tired and like also still throwing punches. It's like oh my god. It's yeah, it was a lot of fun.
And it was really gross in there too. The floor was so dirty. Like you'd stand up and it would just be mud all around your legs. So it was fun. It was good.
And it was peak exhaustion at that point. I think we've been shooting for like 18 nights in a row.
When we were about 1/3 of the way of shooting that fight scene, suddenly a drain activated and the ground covered in water. And we were like, well, we're gonna keep shooting, so if you see the overhead, it's all wet.
There was also there's that one part where I get possessed. Someone
We almost got murdered.
we could have like someone threw a giant filled plastic bag of like some kind of liquid, we don't know, water or something. They dropped it on us. Like it was a bomb.
Like 10 stories.
10 stories.
And then they said, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. It was on Halloween. We were shooting on Halloween.
Yeah. And it's definitely because I was screaming. I was screaming a lot that day, and I think someone was like shut up, or like I don't know, maybe
There was an actual security guard chasing you guys around.
We did meet the security guard at my building. He just, he would come, he's like, hey, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, oh, we're just shooting a student film. And he's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's as long as you don't make any noise.
Then you immortalized him by murdering him. All right, do you have questions from the audience? Right there.
In this sort of a JSTOR style of film, sound design is really important because it's got to propel the narrative, whether it's ambient or something you're amplifying from the character's imagination. Can you tell us how you design that and how you incorporate it into this film?
The question was about the sound design and how.
This is all Emily.
Yeah. And basically the process of putting the sound design together and what inspired it.
Questions are hard to ask, so I brought props, and everybody gets one who asks a question.
Wow.
Wow, everyone gets a haunted curse
Congratulations on
item.
your shovel for murdering. So for the sound design, Justin did a little interview with me. It's on our website right now for today. And so Twin Peaks came out, right?
Ariel whooshing.
Yes. And then there was episode 8 of season 3, and that was mind-blowing. And everything, I feel like everything in the movie was a little bit kind of milquetoast. It was sort of boring and kind of empty. And then all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, David Lynch. So then a lot of sort of droning sounds kind of came in. And then there was this sort of moment when I was a kid, when I was taking a ferry across to Newfoundland, and there was this like loud droning sound, just like rumbling and going, and that's sort of a sound that I always get in my head randomly, and I thought that would be perfect for the parking garage scene. And so I recreated that with a couple of synthesizers, and then I recorded the actual sounds of the parking garage and blended them all together. So aside from that, a lot of it was from Twin Peaks, and then there's also, Justin and Nate kind of wrote it that there wasn't too much speaking for the first 20 minutes, so the film relied on that a lot, and we filled it with a lot of atmospherics, and I think that was sort of a combined effort to fill it with the atmospherics and create sort of an interesting soundscape to go along with it.
And did you record a lot of the Foley yourself?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe like April, do you want to talk about how we recorded the Foley?
You played the video, and then I had to match what we were doing in the video. That was basically the process. Emily did all the recording.
Shoot, Justin, can you get some more leaves so we can walk on them?
Yeah.
Okay.
We brought a bunch of leaves in, and like a lot of it was just like, okay, so Haley like falls off the bench, so just like fall on the carpet basically, and try and do it exactly like that. And we had like one patio stone, and we used that for almost all of the gravel and stone footsteps, and that was basically it.
Question right over there.
I was a big fan of the editing in the film. How much time did you guys spend from after wrapping to having a finished cut?
Questions about the post-production process specifically regarding editing. How long did it edit film? What prop does he get?
I don't. You can get the J and B bottle. Oh, it's still filled with stuff. I think it's water. And the 2 best friends glasses. So the editing took a long time, but it was just the idea of having to put the whole movie together. When I shoot with no coverage. I shoot with what you see up on screen is what we get. I think that's the easiest way for me to put a film together, to imagine how it's all going to cut together. But I think that it was 2 years and a few months ago that we shot this, and the plan was like we were supposed to do it all in over like 6 months on weekends, and then Nate got involved, and he's like, "Let's do it in 3 weeks, all nights. We can do this. We're gonna be done by December." I said, "Listen, people are gonna relent, and they're not gonna want to keep coming back after 6 months. We have to do like a large chunk." So I mean, it did end up working like that, except longer than 6 months. We shot 18 nights or so in the summer, and then we actually shot set pieces that we weren't quite ready for. We would come back to them and get them honestly like 6 months later, a year later. It was a very this was literally the hardest thing that I've ever done, and I think that everybody else has done. On like the 5th day, the actress that originally played Hannah broke her foot.
Hey, Adelina.
And she's in the movie. She plays 2 roles in this movie. Yeah, and she did the poster art for the movie, which is amazing. So Creed came on because Nate bugged her and said, "Please, you have to do this."
It's because I'm the only person willing to work those hours on such short notice. Like, it's as bad on my part that you're like, "Oh, you want to work for 3 weeks straight, 8 to 8 overnight?" Yeah, no problem, of course.
Yeah. Oh, so thank you so much.
Other questions? Yes, right there, and then we'll go to you.
Okay. So I was wondering what was the most challenging aspect of shooting the haunted apartment stuff. So specifically, there's like that one moment where she's like reading the journal and like lifts a page, and then she puts down the page, and the ghost is behind her. And so just what was
Questions about shooting the haunting sequences and what was the most challenging gag that you needed to construct? Magic. What prop does he get? I'm really excited about
He gets a weird, gross special effects thing that was given to me by Steve Kostansky. So the haunted apartment stuff. So it was all magic tricks. Like at the beginning of the movie, that scene, she's looking at the doll and she looks over and like everything is moving. And that was literally all these people here with maybe 1 or 2 other people hiding behind furniture and pulling on wires. Or like turning on and off the TV because we didn't have a remote for it. And then the camera whipped back and the doll was looking at the main character. And what ended up happening was the doll kept falling over. So we do this long shot that was like a minute long, like 30 seconds, and it'd come back and then the doll would be like,
That's kind of scary, though.
That is all like strings and stuff. Like we wrote everything to be like incredibly like easy. Easy in the sense that like I don't want it to have to do with visual effects.
Is there an effect you're most proud of in terms of achieving?
I'm proud of all that string stuff, and like Colin Cunningham did visual effects for us, but they're completely invisible. You can't see them, like removing strings.
He's a magician.
Yeah, exactly, and that was really helpful.
There's a question there.
Yes. As far as writing, did you start off to make this a film about the filming process and it became a horror film, or did you start off writing a horror film and it became about the film writing process?
Did everybody hear that? The question was about whether Justin started with the idea of doing a horror film and then it became about the filmmaking process, or did you want to make a movie about filmmaking?
So I'm incredibly narcissistic when it comes to this stuff. So when I start writing a movie, I'm like, man, I want to make it about movies because I love movies. But at the same time, it actually did start as a film about just horror, like the idea of waking up and you're hearing a sound. That really interested me, or like a scream that you hear and you're like, where the hell is that? And it keeps happening over and over again. And I think filmmaking came into it when I needed like a challenge that the main character would be facing. And I also really wanted to shoot found footage stuff. And I was like, man, found footage, it's gonna be so easy. We just go out with the camera And what ended up happening is we were all in the woods for some of it, and there's no lights anywhere, and we had the battery-powered like light that she actually carried throughout the movie.
And one of us is naked.
Yeah, someone on stage here. Who could it be? And while it is about filmmaking, the biggest like thing that I wanted to talk about was also about being creative generally, like universally. And hopefully that's up on screen, and how hard it is and how self-destructive it can be as well, but still very satisfying.
What prop does he get?
He gets the video game thing that she plays.
The Nintendo DS!
Nintendo DS, wow.
Wait,
It does not work.
It does not work.
Oh. I was like, this is like playing that crane game. You actually get the Nintendo DS. You can pass it
Well,
over
one of
to-
the big things about the movie is that like we didn't really write it, I think, to operate under horror movie logic as much as like emotional logic.
Yeah.
With the idea of like the challenge of filmmaking and being creative.
Yep.
We want one more question right over there.
Yeah, Nate, you don't have much screen time, but I was just curious, how did you prepare to get in character of an asshole ex-boyfriend?
The question was about how Nate got into character as an asshole ex-boyfriend.
I didn't know they were filming.
I just called Nate up and I'm like, hey Nate, what's going on? You want your camera stuff back? And then he would just say it.
No, let's have one more question actually. Right over there. Yeah, what is there anything?
He'll get a pair of these earphones.
Headphones.
That are which we actually cut a scene out. She was supposed to.
This is my baby. I really wanted her to take the headphones apart and duct tape them on her fist so she could like punch people and cushion it. And I was so stuck on this. Justin was like, just shut the fuck up.
The movie was so much goofier in the script form than it is in the actual movie.
Yes, last question.
Yeah, I'm just wondering what the most technically difficult sequence was to shoot.
Technically, what was the most challenging?
I'm trying to think.
Was there anything in the script that I guess made I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we
Two things. The montage of all the people that are dead and the climax. And the climax is really funny because unfortunately our cinematographer Aiden Tanner can't be here. He's in the Bahamas. And he's working. And we shot that pretty much last, and when he showed up and all these people were coming, it was super tough to organize, and I knew there was gonna be a bunch of special effects. And Aiden showed up and he was like, I'm like, all right, what lights are we gonna use? He's like, oh, what lights?
Oh, whoa, no. That's not quite the case.
No.
Actually, my friend Dylan Vogel came.
Right.
He wanted to shoot in the darkness. And my friend Dylan Vogel, is he here right now?
He's in the Bahamas as well.
Yeah, he's in the Bahamas. That's everybody goes to the Bahamas eventually. And my friend Dylan Vogel like built a light circuit the night before that would produce a small amount of light, and it was like we could strap it onto bodies and stuff. It was really weird because that was shot way after, so we shot it very like different unit.
Yeah, that
but,
whole sequence is shot with one light.
But yeah, that was to make it because the LED was too bright, so it was like a dim light that we could use and just sort of like float around.
That's right.
That was it. Special effects too, because the person doing special effects was Emily, and
Yes, we cut out a lot of stuff because I cannot do that. I think for me, the most technically challenging thing was cleaning the blood stains off of everything in my apartment.
yeah. But I want to ask Alex. Alex, was it hard doing the fight scenes and like showing up and we've been filming for 2 weeks and I'm like, ugh.
No, actually, these were like the easiest people to work with, and you have to realize that like Haley and Credence, they didn't have stunt doubles; they did everything themselves. And to my knowledge, they had like little to no screen fighting experience, so like they had to kind of get a crash course on set and learn the choreography, because like Justin would bring me on and be like, "We're doing this scene," and it's like, okay, and I'll just show them what they have to do, and then I also have to teach them how to do that because it's a whole other thing, in acting. And yeah, they went above and beyond, so it was very easy.
All right, put your hands together for the cast and crew of Impossible Horror! Don't forget to vote for the film.